As humans decline to negotiate, panic grips the Galactic Council. The stars stretched endlessly over the Galactic Council's floating station, a massive ring of metal and energy orbiting a fading yellow sun. Inside the council halls, species from across the galaxy had gathered, their forms as varied as the planets they called home. Some were tall and luminous, others small and armored, some with tentacles, others with shimmering wings. All had one thing in common today: panic. The problem was simple and terrifying. Humans, the species from the small, blue planet called Earth, had refused to attend the Council's negotiation meeting. They had refused the offer to join a galaxy-wide treaty meant to maintain peace and trade. And this refusal had thrown the entire Council into confusion. "I don't understand," said Ambassador K-Shao, his voice a soft hum that echoed like wind through crystals. He was a delegate from the planet Terralin, known for its logic-driven society. Humans are unpredictable. They never ignore communication. Every record shows them responding always. Why now? A murmur went through the hall. Other delegates voiced their confusion and frustration. The council chamber was filled with glowing screens, data streams, and holograms. On the largest screen floated a live view of Earth, showing cities and mountains bathed in sunlight. The humans moved in crowds, walked in quiet streets, or worked in laboratories. They seemed calm, unaware, or perhaps indifferent to the uproar they had caused. Ambassador Viral from the aquatic planet Xynora leaned forward, her gills fluttering nervously. "Do you think this is intentional? They could be planning something we cannot yet understand. Their isolation may not be peaceful, it may be preparation. They are humans after all." Always full of surprises. Several species nodded. Humans had long been noted for their creativity and determination. On most planets, intelligence and strength dictated respect. But humans? They seemed ordinary in most ways, soft bodies, fragile compared to other species. But they had a reputation for solving impossible problems, surviving impossible odds, and achieving greatness against overwhelming challenges. Many delegates feared what a species like this could do if they chose to act. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were completely unaware of the panic in the council halls. In one of the city's many research labs, Dr. Alina Morno adjusted a set of sensors pointing toward a strange anomaly in deep space. Her team of scientists, engineers, and programmers worked quietly, speaking in low tones as they examined streams of data. "This pattern, it's repeating," said one young researcher, Raj, pointing to a glowing series of lines on the screen. "It's like it's trying to communicate." Alina frowned thoughtfully. Humans had always been curious by nature. Their history was full of stories of exploration, invention, and discovery. They were persistent, often stubborn, and they never gave up on solving puzzles. The anomaly was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, but instead of alerting the council, the humans focused on understanding it. That was their way. They acted first, thought later, and only shared their work when it was complete, or when it mattered. Back at the Galactic Council, debates were growing louder. "We cannot wait any longer," shouted Lord Zarek from the militaristic world of Kreth. His 3 arms moved as he gestured angrily. "If humans refuse to negotiate, they may be planning something dangerous. I say we send a warning fleet." Ambassador K-Shao's calm tone cut through the rising noise. "We do not understand them. We do not know their intentions. Every analysis shows humans act differently from any other species. They are not reckless, nor are they cruel. They operate on principles we may not fully comprehend. Sending a fleet could provoke the very threat we fear." Council members argued for hours. Some insisted that humans had to be forced into negotiations. Others believed humans would eventually respond in their own time. Amid the chaos, a few delegates whispered to each other with admiration. Humans were strange, humans were clever, and humans were independent in ways that no one else could match. On Earth, Alina's team discovered something remarkable. The anomaly in deep space wasn't just a pattern, it was a signal. But it wasn't in a form humans could easily interpret. It was a network of energy, vibrating across vast distances, almost like the heartbeat of the galaxy itself. Could this be a universal communication method? Raj asked, eyes wide. Alina shook her head slowly, excitement mixed with awe. Possibly. If we understand it, it could change everything. We could connect worlds without waiting for permission, without negotiating politics. We could just communicate. This kind of thinking was typical for humans. They didn't act out of fear, greed, or ambition. They acted because they were curious, because they wanted to solve problems, and because they believed that understanding came before confrontation. Meanwhile, rumors about the humans' refusal had begun to spread across the galaxy. Merchants whispered in marketplaces, children mimicked stories in schools, and scholars debated in academies. Humans will do something extraordinary, some predicted. Or dangerous, others warned. No one knew which. The Council, desperate for answers, sent out probes and observation drones to Earth. The humans noticed the drones, of course, but they did not react with hostility. They observed the small machines with interest and sometimes guided them to capture better data. It was a display of cleverness that both frustrated and amazed alien observers. In one debate session at the Council, Ambassador Viral spoke up again. Perhaps we are thinking about this all wrong. Humans do not fear challenges, but they do not seek power for its own sake. Their refusal may be a test, not of us, but of the galaxy. They may be seeing if we are ready to meet them as equals. Others shook their heads. Or they are simply reckless, Lord Zarek growled. A species that does not respond cannot be trusted. But in quiet corners, some delegates began to remember history. Humans had faced extinction on Earth numerous times, through natural disasters, plagues, wars, and had always found a way to survive. They had risen from weakness to strength, not by domination, but by adaptability, creativity, and unity. Could it be possible that this same resilience was now being displayed on a galactic scale? Back on Earth, the humans continued their work late into the night. Alina and her team discovered that the anomaly could potentially transmit thought, emotion, and information faster than any known communication method. It was as if the galaxy itself wanted to be understood, and humans had the skill to listen. Alina leaned back in her chair, staring at the flickering lights of the lab. "We're on the edge of something incredible," she said softly. "Something that could change how every species in the galaxy thinks about communication, trust, and collaboration." Unseen by humans, the Council watched every development. Panic had not eased, but curiosity had begun to replace fear in some hearts. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but also extraordinary. They did not act like conquerors, nor like negotiators trying to manipulate outcomes. They acted like explorers, problem solvers, and dreamers. As the first part of this story closed, the Galactic Council was left in a state of anxious waiting. Humanity, small and fragile on their blue world, had refused to negotiate. Yet in their refusal, they were already doing something more powerful than any treaty or fleet. They were solving problems, creating understanding, and quietly demonstrating that intelligence, creativity, and moral courage could shape the galaxy in ways no weapon or law ever could. The other species could only watch, confused and amazed, as humans continued their work, calm and focused, completely unaware of the chaos their independence had caused. In that silence, in that calm determination, the galaxy sensed something it had never truly understood: the extraordinary power of being human. The Galactic Council had never felt such unease before. Holograms flickered in the chamber, showing news feeds from dozens of systems, each reporting the same strange fact: humans were ignoring the Council's directives. They were not replying, not attending meetings, not acknowledging messages. Some delegates whispered that humans were reckless, while others argued that they were doing something far more intelligent. Ambassador Kashal of Terralin paced the chamber. Every species in the galaxy communicates, negotiates, and compromises, he said softly, almost to himself. Humans are the only ones refusing. Why? No one knows, Viral replied, her gills trembling in frustration. They do not act out of fear or obedience. They act out of purpose. But what purpose is so strong that it can make them ignore a galactic council? Meanwhile, far below in Earth's orbit, humans continued their work. The anomaly that had captured Alina Morno's attention was proving more complex than anyone had imagined. Streams of energy danced across their instruments, patterns appearing and vanishing in seconds. Raj leaned closer to the monitor. It's like it's alive. Look at how it shifts, almost like it's responding to us. Alina nodded. It might be. This anomaly doesn't seem random. It could be some kind of galactic network, a system that connects worlds, perhaps even species. Humans were not driven by fear. They were curious, patient, and determined. While the galaxy panicked, humans studied, tested, and tried to understand. They did not see threats, only possibilities. Back in the council chamber, the debate had grown louder. Some species were calling for immediate action. If humans refused to negotiate, Lord Zarek of Kreth shouted, they might be planning something that could destroy us. We cannot wait. We must prepare. A younger diplomat, Arlen of the soft-bodied planet Quora, raised his voice gently. Or perhaps they are teaching us a lesson. Humans are not reckless, but they are not easily swayed. They act logically, creatively, and independently. Maybe their silence is intentional, yes, but not hostile. Maybe they are showing us that independence can be more powerful than force. Others scoffed, unwilling to accept the possibility that humans could act purely on principle. But some began to wonder. Every record of humans showed that when faced with impossible odds, they did not panic. They did not attack. They solved problems. They adapted. Could it be that humans were now operating on a galactic scale? On Earth, Alina's team made a breakthrough. By carefully observing the anomaly's shifts and vibrations, they discovered that it seemed to carry information in a language unlike any other known system. It was not spoken, not written, not visual, yet it could be interpreted. This is incredible, Raj whispered. If we can decode this, we could communicate with other civilizations instantly. Alina's eyes sparkled with excitement. We might not even need the council. If this works, humans could create a network for all intelligent species. A network that does not depend on politics, fear, or force, just understanding. The implications were staggering. Humans had a chance to reshape interstellar communication, to show the galaxy a new way to connect. And they were doing it quietly, without announcing it, without demanding attention, without asserting power. The council, however, had no idea what humans were building. Rumors spread faster than light through council channels. Some species imagined humans creating superweapons, others predicted secret alliances, and some whispered that humans might simply vanish into isolation, taking their knowledge and influence with them. Panic, fear, and curiosity swirled together. A small delegation, including Arlen, decided to investigate further. Using stealth probes, they monitored Earth and the humans' activities. They observed humans moving with purpose, working together, arguing politely over ideas, and celebrating small discoveries. No aggression, no deceit, no manipulation, just focus and collaboration. It is different, Arlen said quietly to a colleague. They do not seek power or conquest. They do not react to our fears. They are independent. Strong in a way that is not measured by weapons or influence, but by intelligence and creativity. At the council, debates continued. Lord Zarek still demanded immediate action. We cannot let them ignore us. They might be planning something beyond our control. Ambassador Kashal shook his head. We do not understand humans yet, Every action we take could be interpreted as hostility. Every step we take could push them away, or worse, provoke something unnecessary. Perhaps patience is the best strategy. Meanwhile, humans were on the verge of a major discovery. Alina, Raj, and the rest of the team began experimenting with the anomaly as a communication tool. By sending tiny pulses and observing the response, they realized they could transmit ideas, concepts, and even feelings. It was a universal language that did not need translation, a way to connect any intelligent being anywhere in the galaxy. This could change everything, Alina said. We could reach out to other species not through politics, not through treaties, but through understanding itself. Raj smiled. And maybe, just maybe, we could show the galaxy that cooperation is better than conflict. Unseen by humans, some of the Council's delegates began to understand the truth. Humans were not reckless, aggressive, or dangerous. They were principled, curious, and capable of solving problems that no other species could. Their refusal to negotiate was not defiance, it was independence. It was their way of showing that solutions could be found without coercion or force. As days passed, the Council's panic deepened. Members sent more emissaries, more messages, and more drones to Earth. Humans noticed the activity but did not respond with fear or hostility. Instead, they studied the devices, learning from them, testing their own understanding of the galaxy. Their actions were calm, deliberate, and clever. Arlen, watching the humans, realized something important. They are not ignoring us to be rude or dangerous, he said. They are showing the galaxy a different path, one where intelligence, creativity, and moral courage define strength. They are humans, yes, but they are extraordinary. The Galactic Council could not stop observing, even if they wanted to. The humans' work with the anomaly was unlike anything any other species had attempted. It was risky, uncertain, and brilliant, and it was done without a hint of violence or threat. For the first time, some council members felt something close to admiration. These humans, small and fragile on their blue world, had the potential to reshape the galaxy, not with fleets or weapons, but with ideas, knowledge, and ingenuity. On Earth, Alina and her team celebrated a small success. A message sent through the anomaly reached a nearby star system, and the response, though weak and fragmented, returned almost immediately. Humans had created a bridge of understanding that could connect civilizations in ways the Council had never imagined. Raj laughed quietly. "We're talking across the stars. We're really doing it." Alina smiled, watching the glowing lines of energy pulse on the screen. "We may not even need the Council. If this works, everyone will see that humans can lead through discovery and understanding, not force or politics." As Part 2 comes to a close, the galaxy remained in suspense. The Council panicked, imagining threats, alliances, and unknown dangers. Humans, however, continued their work in quiet determination, proving that intelligence, cooperation, and curiosity could be far more powerful than fear. For the first time, it became clear. Humans were not just another species. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and dreamers. Their refusal to negotiate was not rebellion. It was the first step toward showing the galaxy a new way to grow, learn, and connect. And so, while panic gripped the halls of the Galactic Council, humanity quietly prepared to make the first move in a game that no one else yet understood. A move that could change everything. On Earth, the Human Research Lab buzzed with quiet excitement. Alina Morno and her team stared at the anomaly's glowing energy patterns, trying to make sense of the data that had started to behave like a language. Every pulse seemed to carry a message, a pattern, a potential connection to distant worlds. Raj rubbed his eyes, exhausted but exhilarated. "It's like we're finally hearing the galaxy talk," he said. "And maybe, just maybe, we can talk back." Alina nodded, her mind racing. "We can't rush this. One wrong signal, one misunderstanding, and it could send a message that nobody would understand, or worse, one that causes fear. We need to be precise, careful. Unlike the humans' calm focus, the Galactic Council was in full panic. Rumors of human activity beyond their planet spread faster than any official communication. Some species imagined that humans were constructing superweapons or secret fleets. Others whispered that humans had made contact with unknown, powerful civilizations. The truth was far simpler and far more impressive. Humans were trying to understand the galaxy. Ambassador Viral of Xynora voiced what many others felt. I do not understand them. They have refused every attempt at negotiation, yet they act with precision, purpose, and almost grace. What are they planning? Perhaps they are not planning at all, said Arlen of Quora quietly. Perhaps humans do not operate like the rest of us. They do not act out of fear, ambition, or greed. They act out of curiosity, of reason, and of understanding. That is their strength. Many delegates scoffed at this. Curiosity does not prevent destruction, Lord Zarek growled. If humans are as clever as you say, then their silence is a threat. It must be neutralized. But a few voices of reason began to be heard. The delegates had observed humans for decades. They had seen humans survive plagues, wars, disasters, and even near extinction, always through intelligence, adaptability, and cooperation. Could it be possible that humans' refusal to negotiate was not arrogance or rebellion, but an indication of a method far greater than any the Council had ever seen? Back on Earth, the anomaly began to reveal more of its secrets. Alina and her team discovered that certain patterns could convey ideas instantly. A thought, once translated into the energy signal, could travel vast distances and reach any civilization capable of receiving it. This could change everything, Alina said, her voice trembling with excitement. We could communicate with any intelligent species in the galaxy without waiting for political approval or treaties. We could create a network based on understanding, not fear. Raj grinned. We're talking across the stars, not with ships, not with weapons, but with ideas. Humans were uniquely suited for this kind of work. Their history showed countless examples of solving complex problems creatively, often without the support of advanced technology. Their persistence, cooperation, and adaptability had allowed them to survive in almost every environment on their planet. Now, they were applying those same traits to the galaxy itself. Meanwhile, observers from the Galactic Council grew more anxious. The anomaly's activity suggested that humans were making progress faster than anyone had anticipated. Some species began sending secret reconnaissance drones to study Earth. They watched humans interact, work together, and experiment, hoping to find signs of aggression or preparation for conflict. What they saw confused them. Humans did not seem concerned with the Council's panic. They did not prepare defenses or offensive technology. They studied shared ideas among themselves and solved problems with calm focus. This is different, Arlen said quietly to a colleague. They are not motivated by power. They do not react to fear. They are principled, creative, and brave. Perhaps their strength lies not in conquest, but in understanding. The Council continued to debate. Some species demanded action, insisting that humans must be forced to negotiate. Others suggested patience, reasoning that humans had never caused harm and that their independence might be a unique form of wisdom. On Earth, humans made another breakthrough. By sending a carefully designed signal through the anomaly, they received a response from a nearby star system, a fragmented, simple transmission that suggested intelligence. It was a proof of concept. The anomaly was a universal communication network capable of connecting worlds instantly. Alina stared at the screen, her heart racing. We've done it. We've sent a message and we've received one. We're not alone in this network. The galaxy is listening. Raj's eyes widened. This changes everything. Humans could lead the galaxy without even leaving our planet. Unseen, the Galactic Council's monitors picked up the same signals. Panic escalated, but curiosity began to mix with fear. If humans had unlocked such a capability, what else could they do? Some delegates whispered that humans' refusal to negotiate was no longer simple independence. It was evidence of a power they could not yet understand. Yet, some began to see the truth. Humans did not act aggressively. They did not threaten or manipulate. They acted logically, creatively, and with moral responsibility. Their strength was their intelligence and their determination to use it wisely. Ambassador Viral sighed. Perhaps we have misunderstood them. Perhaps their refusal to negotiate is not defiance, but a test, a demonstration that understanding and cooperation can come without force or coercion. The idea spread quietly among some council members. Humans were showing the galaxy that a new way was possible, a way where trust and intelligence mattered more than fear, where collaboration could exist without the chains of politics or coercion. On Earth, humans continued to experiment. They sent messages in more complex patterns, testing the limits of the anomaly. They devised ways to encode concepts, emotions, and even abstract ideas. Each success deepened their excitement, and each failure became a lesson. What we are doing, Alina said, is not just communicating. We are creating a bridge for understanding, for collaboration, for growth. This could connect species, civilizations, maybe even entire galaxies. And we are doing it quietly, without demanding attention, without showing power. We are showing what humans can do with intelligence, patience, and cooperation. Raj nodded. We're not just building technology, we're building trust. And maybe, someday, others will see that trust is stronger than force. The Galactic Council could not ignore these developments. Observers reported humans' methods, their calm efficiency, their clear lack of aggression. Some species began to reconsider their panic. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not dangerous. Humans were extraordinary, not because of their strength or weapons, but because of their creativity, moral courage, and determination to solve problems. Arlen, the Quora diplomat, addressed the council quietly. We have watched humans for decades. They do not act like other species. They do not seek control or dominance. They act logically, creatively, and responsibly. Their refusal to negotiate is not rebellion. It is independence. It is a demonstration that cooperation can exist without coercion, and understanding can be achieved without force. Some delegates frowned, still skeptical. Others, however, began to see the wisdom in his words. Could it be that humans' greatest strength was not in their ability to fight or dominate, but in their ability to think, adapt, and connect? On Earth, Alina and her team prepared for their next experiment. They would attempt a more complex transmission, sending a message designed to test the anomaly's limits. It was risky, but humans were accustomed to risk. They had survived countless challenges through intelligence and collaboration. As the experiment began, the anomaly pulsed with light and energy, responding to the human signal. Slowly, patterns emerged, patterns that suggested a response. The team watched in awe as the first real interstellar communication began to take shape. "This is it," Alina whispered. "We're not just observing the galaxy, we're connecting it, and we're doing it as humans in our own way." Unseen by humans, the council watched with equal parts fear, wonder, and admiration. Panic had not disappeared, but it had begun to shift. Humans were no longer just an unknown quantity. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and pioneers, and their refusal to negotiate was no longer a threat. It was a statement. A statement that intelligence, morality, and creativity could shape the galaxy in ways that fear and force never could. As Part 3 closed, the humans' work had attracted attention, but not in the way the Council had feared. They were not preparing for war. They were preparing for understanding. And slowly, The galaxy began to realize that this small, blue world might hold the key to a new era of interstellar cooperation, a future built not on treaties and fleets, but on ingenuity, morality, and the courage to be human. The Galactic Council's halls were alive with debate. But this time, the conversations had changed. Panic still lingered, but a new feeling had begun to surface among some delegates: curiosity. Observations of humans had revealed something extraordinary. They were not reckless. They were not aggressive. They were focused, clever, and calm. Ambassador Arlen of Quora had become an unexpected voice of reason. He moved quietly through the chambers, showing colleagues the data collected by drones observing Earth. "Look at this," he said softly, displaying streams of human activity. "They are not responding to fear. They are not reacting to pressure. They are simply solving problems, calmly, creatively, and responsibly." Many delegates frowned. "But they are refusing the council," one said. "That is defiance. That is disrespect." "Perhaps it is independence," Arlen replied. "Perhaps humans are showing us that cooperation can exist without force, and understanding can exist without threats." Meanwhile, on Earth, Alina's team had expanded their experiments with the anomaly. What began as a study of patterns in energy signals had turned into something far more powerful. Humans were discovering how to send complex ideas across the stars. Raj watched a monitor in fascination. "We've just sent a sequence describing simple mathematics, and the response includes a sequence we can interpret. I think we've just taught someone else to understand us." Alina's eyes shone with excitement. "We're not just communicating, we're teaching, and they're responding. The galaxy is listening. This is exactly what humans do best: solve problems, create understanding, and share knowledge." As the humans celebrated small victories, the Galactic Council was forced to reassess. Observers reported that humans were performing complex calculations, experimenting with ideas, and working together with cooperation that no other species had ever demonstrated. Humans had no fleets nearby, no weapons, no secret armies. Just intelligence, curiosity, and a desire to understand. Ambassador Viral spoke again, her gills trembling with a mix of confusion and awe. "If what we are observing is correct, humans are achieving more than any fleet or weapon could. They are connecting the galaxy in ways we have not even imagined, yet they have done this without confrontation or demands." Lord Zarek of Kreth's 3 arms twitched nervously. "This is impossible. No species could accomplish such feats without seeking power or control." "Are you suggesting humans are doing this out of principle?" Arlen nodded. "Yes. Humans act not out of fear, ambition, or aggression. They act logically, creatively, and with moral courage. Their refusal to negotiate is not rebellion, it is independence. And independence, in this case, is showing the galaxy a better way to work together." In labs across Earth, humans were discovering that the anomaly could carry emotion, concepts, and even abstract ideas. By encoding thought patterns into the signal, humans could communicate complex knowledge instantly. It was a breakthrough in understanding, a bridge to other civilizations, and humans were doing it with precision, patience, and collaboration. "This is beyond any treaty or political agreement," Alina said quietly to her team. "We're creating a network that connects the galaxy without coercion, and it is built on understanding, not fear." Raj smiled. "Humans have always done things differently. This is just another example. We don't fight, we think, we collaborate, we learn, and somehow we survive." Observers from the Galactic Council continued to monitor the activity, and their panic slowly began to transform into admiration. Even the most skeptical members could not deny what they were seeing. Humans were achieving feats that many had considered impossible, not through aggression or power, but through intelligence, cooperation, and moral courage. Yet, misunderstandings still existed. Some species still interpreted human silence as hostility. Rumors spread of secret weapons, of hidden plans, of alliances with unknown civilizations. Fear had not vanished entirely. But the truth was far simpler. Humans were focused on solving problems, building understanding, and exploring ideas. Ambassador Arlen decided to take action. He approached the council with a proposal. "We have observed humans for decades," he said. "We have studied their behavior, their methods, and their history. I propose that we stop interpreting their actions as hostility. We should recognize humans for what they are: thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. Their refusal to negotiate is not defiance. It is a demonstration of independence and intelligence." Some delegates nodded reluctantly. Others remained skeptical, but Arlen's words had planted a seed. Perhaps humans' independence was not a threat, but a lesson. Perhaps the galaxy could learn from humans' way of thinking. On Earth, the humans' experiments grew bolder. They began to test the anomaly's limits, sending complex sequences that encoded abstract concepts like trust, cooperation, and morality. The responses they received were fragmented, but meaningful. Slowly, they realized they were not only communicating, they were connecting. Elena leaned back in her chair, watching the glowing patterns pulse on the monitor. "We're not just sending messages," she said softly. "We're building understanding. We're showing other civilizations that cooperation is possible without force, that intelligence and morality matter more than power." Raj shook his head in awe. "It's incredible. We're teaching the galaxy not with weapons but with ideas, with thought. That is so human." The Galactic Council continued to observe. Slowly, delegates began to share Arlen's perspective. Humans were not reckless. Humans were not hostile. Humans were extraordinary, not because of their strength, but because of their intelligence, patience, and moral courage. They were independent thinkers who solved problems without coercion. Some members of the council, once vocal in their fear, began to see the potential for collaboration. If humans could connect civilizations without demanding power, if they could build understanding without fear, perhaps the galaxy could learn a new way to interact, one based on intelligence and trust rather than force and politics. On Earth, Elena's team achieved another milestone. They had successfully sent a signal that conveyed a simple story, an idea of cooperation and curiosity, and received a coherent response. It was the first real demonstration that humans could communicate complex thoughts across the galaxy. "This is it," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is what humans do best. We don't wait for approval. We don't demand attention. We explore, we discover, and we teach, and somehow we inspire others to do the same." Raj smiled. "And we're doing it quietly without threats or force. That is so human." The council could not ignore it. Observers reported that humans' work was progressing faster than any species had anticipated. The anomaly had become a conduit for understanding, and humans had mastered it with a combination of creativity, cooperation, and patience. Ambassador Viral addressed the council again. "Perhaps we have underestimated humans. Perhaps their refusal to negotiate is not defiance, but a demonstration of how intelligence and moral courage can change the galaxy. They do not need fleets or weapons. They lead by example." Even Lord Zarek, though still skeptical, could not deny the evidence. Humans were extraordinary. They had solved problems that no other species could, all without coercion, without aggression, without violence. They were independent, principled, and brilliant. As Part 4 drew to a close, the galaxy remained in suspense. Humans had not joined the Council's treaty. They had not responded to calls for diplomacy. Yet their work with the anomaly was transforming perceptions. Delegates began to whisper, sharing what they had learned from observation. Humans were not just another species. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. Their refusal to negotiate was not defiance. It was a demonstration that intelligence, cooperation, and moral courage could shape the galaxy in ways no weapon or fleet ever could. And on Earth, Elena and her team continued their work, unaware of the admiration and slowly growing respect across the galaxy. They were humans, and they were doing what humans had always done: solving problems, exploring ideas, and quietly showing the universe the power of thought, creativity, and cooperation. The galaxy was watching, and slowly it was beginning to understand. Humans were extraordinary, not because of might, not because of dominance, but because of intelligence, independence, and the courage to think differently.